Have you ever wondered why so many people say dating after 40 feels completely different? And why do so many online creators claim the dating market changes dramatically after this age?
Dating in your 40s is confusing because one minute you are talking to someone who has been married for 20 years, has teenagers, and has a whole emotional history. The next minute you are on a date with someone who is casually unemployed, missing a bed frame, and still figuring himself out. And you are supposed to just be open to both with the same energy. And I am like, okay, this is a lot of range. This is a very wide range.
YouTube and TikTok are filled with debates about this topic. Stay with us until the very end, because the final point may completely change how you see dating after 40.
We're heading to a world where we're going to have an awful lot of single people in their 40s, an awful lot. And the reality is, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news, is that's going to be fine for men because they can have babies until they drop dead.
Yeah, and they're going to go with, or they're always going to go for younger
and
women
they're going to go for younger women, and they'll have more money, and that'll be fine. And there'll be this sort of lost generation of women in the middle, and that's not going to be good. And the women in the comments are going to absolutely hate me for saying that, but I think it's a reality, and you need to wake up, because if you don't wake up, it's going to get too late.
Many people believe dating becomes less about excitement and more about stability. Instead of chasing attraction alone, people often begin looking for peace, trust, and long-term compatibility.
For a lot of people, a relationship after 40 is the first time that they can love someone without losing themselves. I've known people who didn't learn how to communicate their needs until they were 45. I've seen people get married for the first time at 50. It's not too late. You're not too old. You're finally clear on who you are. Trust your path.
Many online commentators say both men and women become more selective with age. Life experience often changes what people value most in a relationship.
Ladies, what are we doing wrong? We have to be doing something wrong. Something is not right. Because I have men in my inbox, on my messages, on everywhere, telling me that they do not want to be in a relationship because they choose peace. They chose being alone and being peaceful than being in a relationship with a woman because all we do is cause drama and we nag and all these things, all the reasons. Or a lot of them had been burned before. So, like, we know that whole story. Like, been there too. So that works on both sides. But, like, what exactly, I feel like in a relationship, a woman should be the one to bring peace and bring comfort and, like, at the end of the day, be that person that a man can come home to and, like, feel comfortable in himself and know that, like, he's loved at home. So what is it that we're doing or not doing that they're saying these things? I don't know. It blows my mind that these men would rather, like, be alone. And I don't know, maybe it's that they're dating younger, and no offense to any of the females on here that are in, like, the younger age bracket. I just know personally when I was younger, like in my 20s, even into my early 30s, like before I had kids and stuff, there was always a little bit of drama that happened in relationships and things like that. But now being 42, like, I want peace too. I don't want to come home to arguments and nagging and, like, all of that stuff either. I want peace too. So what's happening? Somebody fill me in, because I'm fucking lost. I am, like, seriously lost.
Another common discussion is expectations. Some creators argue that unrealistic standards can make finding a compatible partner much more difficult after 40.
I need to, like, crash out for a minute here. Okay, look, I'm not looking my best. I think my hair looks a little greasy. I just came from my son's playoff travel baseball game. I decided afterwards, because it's not my weekend, that I'm just going to go grab a bite to eat. I didn't want to go sit at home by myself again. That felt depressing. And I was like, I'm just going to sit at a bar and have dinner, and who knows, maybe I'll meet someone. No. First of all, there was the bar was at zero. There was no one even there. And then finally, towards the end, a somewhat decent, like, attractive man comes in, he sits right next to me, looks at me. I could tell, I could feel the vibe that he was like interested, but he didn't say one word. He didn't say one word. Not the entire time. I sat there, I was like kind of, angling my body in that direction, like, hey, I'm interested. If you want to talk to me, I'll talk to you. I, was playing with my hair a little bit, like not too much, but just a little bit, a little flirty. I even had a hat, putting on my hat just in case I looked too greasy. Anyway, the point is, people say, oh, why do you go on dating apps? You can just meet someone in real life. Can you? Can you, though? Can you actually meet someone in real life? I don't think so. Because you know what? I'm going to say it. Men in real life are pussies. I said what I said. I don't know. The situation, it feels a little hopeless. Like, I'm angling my body towards you. I don't have a ring on. It's a Sunday night. I'm sitting at a bar by myself. I'm flirting with you without saying anything. I can't quite make eye contact because you're next to me. Did I do something wrong? Let me know.
Many men in comment sections say appearances matter less than they once did. They often mention respect, emotional maturity, and shared values as bigger priorities.
I went on a super awkward third date last week, and I want to tell you about it to see if there's any opinion, if I did anything wrong. Our first 2 dates were great. No problems. We had a great time, great conversation. There was no physical touch other than a hug at the end. And he communicated that he was into me. I communicated that he was into him. We were on the same page. So we made plans for me to come over to his house and watch a movie. And he had asked me if I was open to some more physical touch. And I said, yes, we're on the same page, consent, everything's good. So that day I go and pick up this lemon bar that he really likes from this local shop and to surprise him. And he asked me what I want to drink and eat and whatever. So everything's great so far. So far, great. He texted me like 3 or 4 hours before and he's like, hey, are you still planning to swing by tonight? And I was like, swing by? Weird. Okay. Don't know what that means. Not the terminology I would use, but, I was like, okay, whatever. I get to his house around 7 o'clock. We had agreed on a movie, so that was all set. He had bought some chips and some cheese and brought me a root beer, and it was great. I thought it was very kind and sweet that he, kind of got snacks. I sit down on the couch while he's prepping the snacks, and he's got kind of one of those L couches, and I sit in the middle. He brings the snacks over, and he sits like a good 3 or 4 feet away from me. He'd have to reach to touch me. And I'm like, that's weird, but whatever. He's being respectful. He's been respectful this whole time. So the movie's playing and he's still kind of far away from me. And I'm like, okay, that's weird. I'm starting to feel a little awkward about that because he's the one that wanted to initiate physical touch. And then I see him open his phone and he starts texting. I'm like, okay, not a big deal. Something, just responding to a text. And a few minutes later, he does it again. And he continues to text through this whole movie, sitting 4 feet away from me. So we're making kind of small talk, joking about the movie. It was a funny movie. And then the movie ends and I'm like, okay, maybe now, there'll be some physical touch, something like that. But no, he starts talking about this TV show and then he makes this comment about Highlander, the TV show. And he's like, yeah, I put on Highlander when I want people to leave. And I'm like, when girls are at my house, I want people to leave. I'm like, that's a weird comment. Okay, I'm going to take this. This is time for me to go. He didn't put on Highlander, but it was weird. So we're chatting, we're kind of half watching this TV show, still 4 feet away from me. And I'm like, all right, I think I'm going to go. And he's like, okay, I'll walk you to your car. I don't know if he's feeling super awkward. I'm feeling super awkward at this point. So I'm like, this is strange. It was kind of a waste of time. I wasn't feeling it. So he walks me into my car and we get to my car and he gives me a hug and he's like, can I give you a good night kiss? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Great. So he kisses me. Kiss is fine. It's a 5 out of 10. It's a little awkward. I get a text when I get home thanking me for the lemon bar and saying he had a good night. And I said, great, thanks, me too. Thanks for the snacks. It was really sweet. Good night. And I literally never hear from him again. It's been 5 days. Nothing. So I unmatched him, probably won't hear from him, or I will, and he'll be like, what's up? But I don't know. I assume he probably met somebody else and he was texting them, or he just didn't like me. I don't know. What would you have done in that situation?
Others believe confidence must be matched with accountability. They argue that healthy relationships require effort, compromise, and mutual appreciation from both people.
When the movie The 40-Year-Old Virgin came out, I was 23 years old in 2005. And I remember hating that so much because I had kept the secret that I had never been in a relationship, that I never kissed anybody. And at the time at 23, I felt like I was a 40-year-old virgin. Little did I know that many years later would go by and I would be that person. I was a virgin into my 40s. And that's something that we don't talk about often because there's still so much shame wrapped around it. There is still some level of shame within me, even admitting that to the world that I was a virgin into my 40s. Now I had extra layers of complexity because I had been SA'd when I was a child. And then I had gone through some difficult experiences in my 30s with my abusive therapist. And so there's all these layers because one of the reasons that I went to see that therapist was to heal the trauma from my youth so that I could become a healed version of myself physically, mentally, and even that sexual part of who I am was so altered by the abuse that I wanted to fix that part of me. Now, I haven't really talked about intimacy, and I haven't even stated it as clearly as I just did on here before, that I was a virgin into my 40s. And I think the reason is because there's still a lot for me to consider and to move through. But being an individual who goes into your adulthood without having those experiences, I think in some ways alters your view of yourself and your view of others. And it is a very difficult experience with not a lot of places to go, because if you were to bring that up to friends or family who have like maybe a typical trajectory of life experience when it comes to intimacy, and all of that, it's shameful, and it shouldn't be. I guess that's why I'm talking about it right now, is it shouldn't be. Now, I didn't watch The 40-Year-Old Virgin, and I never will, because I don't think that it portrays that story in a positive light. And I want other people to feel less alone in their experience, and that's kind of why I'm bringing it up now when I haven't really talked about that aspect of long-term singleness. But it is something that I think is really pertinent and important to say, that, you know, having a lack of experience going into your adulthood doesn't make you any less an adult or any less of a person, even though sometimes you feel less. And I remember feeling young, feeling inexperienced, and feeling scared because I didn't have anybody to talk to about it. And I felt like I was the only one. So I want you to know that you're not the only one, and that there are many people who experience it. And it's not a character defining flaw if that has been something you've lacked in your life. So maybe I'll talk about it more later. Sending lots of love.
Social media has also changed dating. Constant comparison and endless options can make meaningful relationships harder to recognize and maintain.
I'll get messages from guys sometimes, and they're like 29 and 30, and they'll say, I've always wanted to be with an older woman. And I'm thinking, you think you want to be with an older woman until you meet one. We don't argue. We don't chase. We don't compete. We've already done all the things. We've been through shit, okay? We've rebuilt our lives. We've raised kids. We've been through relationships. We're not looking for somebody to interrupt our peace.
Some commentators believe the biggest change isn't age, it's priorities. Careers, family, finances, and personal peace often become more important than chasing attention.
Can you make a video about dating in your 40s? What is your interaction with men like? I'm feeling so sad about aging, like damn, will I be ignored by men when I turn 40? I'm currently working on, she went on to say that she's working on losing weight. Love, the first and most important thing that I want to tell you is you should never center anything that you do for yourself on the basis of a man ignoring you, not getting his attention or his validation. Only motivation for wanting to look better and lose weight should be yourself. So my interaction with men as a woman in her 40s is this. The only negative thing about dating men in your 40s for me is choosing which one I want. Trust me, they are in abundance, but I'll tell you why. I know we live in a very ageist society, but if you look good, that's going to trump that every time. Don't get me wrong, there are men out there that are in their 50s and 60s that will only date 20-year-old women. That's their preference. That's not something that you can internalize and make something negative for yourself. It actually says a lot more about the man than it does you. My face card doesn't decline. I have a slim waist, abs, a nice round ass, great style. The cherry on top is that I'm 5'10". What's my point? You gotta look good, babe. I don't make the rules. I live in the same world that you do. Being attractive and looking good, even as a woman dating in your 40s, will get you through the door. The rest you gotta carry. It's on you. This is why I encourage you ladies all the time. Get you a skincare routine, body routine. Go to the gym. I wrote a free book for you, a download, about coming into your personal style and aesthetic, because I care that much. So, my little sister, don't do anything for outside validation. Be self-obsessed. Dedicate a lot of time working on yourself, and any man that you're with will reap the reward. Love you.
Of course, many people disagree with these views. They believe love can happen at any age when two compatible people meet with honest intentions.
Oh my God, did Mel hit the nail on the head with this comment? Go ahead, click on it, go back and watch the video. She's talking about Nicole Kidman's divorce, right? And it never occurred to me, like in this phrasing as she's saying it here. But let me tell you what, I did the same exact fucking thing. It's probably the only thing I ever have in common with Nicole Kidman. But I divorced my first husband when I was 36, I believe was when it was finally done. But I had been with him since I was 20, right? Or 21. And so 15 years. And at that point, when we got divorced, I wasn't looking for a provider man. I wasn't looking for a father. I had my kids. I was done with all of that. I made plenty of money. I didn't need somebody who was making money. And so I decided that since I felt I was, too young when I got married the first time, I was like, just gonna look for love. And love plus my hormones at the time. That's the crazy part. I would say it at the time. I remember saying, this must be what a teenage boy feels like, because I was that level horny. I would describe it as like a veil or a fog came over me where I couldn't think straight about, that's so distressing to think about, but that is how I felt at the time. So I was going after men who, it didn't matter to me how much money that they made or anything like that. It was lust. I felt like how men say all the things, how they're always we don't care if you have a degree. We don't care how much money you make, all this stuff, because you just want a bone. Well, that was me. And I wonder if that was Nicole Kidman. Because I was just I'm going to find somebody who just loves me and all of this stuff. And it doesn't need to be based on, any kind of, looks good on paper type of shit like this. He has this degree, or he has this job, or he's going to be a good father, or he's a good, provider. None of it, all of it went out the window. And then I ended up with my second husband because of it. Oh, man.
The biggest takeaway is simple. Strong relationships are built on trust, communication, and mutual respect, not just appearance or age.
Someone tell me how a single person is supposed to survive in the UK right now, because the numbers just don't add up. Everyone keeps saying it's cheaper to be single, live on your own. That's not the case. If you're not a couple, you have to pay all of that on your own. So let's talk about rent. So you're talking 650 to 1,200, depending on where you live. These are averages, okay? Then you've also got to think about your council tax, another 180, 120, depending on where you are again. Then that's before you've got food, before you've got utilities, before you're paying your TV license, everything. You are paying 100% of all of that. Before you've even started living, you're looking at 1,200 to 1,600 per month. Again, these are averages, not necessarily accurate depending on the area that you live in. I think the thing that gets me is people just say, well, go and get a better job, go and get a higher paid job, go and learn a skill. Yeah, you can do all of that, but we shouldn't have to. At the end of the day, if you're working full time, if you're doing a 35-hour plus a week, you shouldn't need to go and get a second job. You shouldn't need to have a side hustle, but people are, and that's the only way they're getting by. Or they're using credit because they just doesn't add up. The cost of living versus the average salary or the minimum wage salary in the UK, it doesn't match. No matter what, you're always going to be worse off. Now, these aren't luxuries. These are the basics that you're paying for. Your car insurance, you're paying for your gas, your electric, all of that. And then you're working for nothing. It's not living, it's surviving. You are living to work, and that's not right.
So here's a question. Has dating after 40 become harder because people have changed, or because expectations have? Share your thoughts below, and stay with us until the very end because a final insight might surprise you.